a lot of people are like saying, well, there's chaos. Hamas is killing people. Hamas is killing people. And Donald Trump straight up came out, as he often does, as he did yesterday as well on that plane, and said, yep, it's right. It's happening. Let's take a look.
Very, very bad gangs, and they did take them out, and they killed a number of gang members. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you. That's okay. We had a couple of very bad gangs. You know, it's no different than other countries. Like Venezuela sent their gangs into us, and we took care of those gangs. We have Washington, D.C.
Like, not only is he saying that these are very bad gangs, like, and he's not wrong. Like, these are ISIS affiliates. These are comprised of like drug dealers, ISIS affiliates, and people that Israel gave weapons to specifically to create an environment of chaos at the point of aid distribution and aid delivery. Like, everything Israel said Hamas was doing, everything Israel claimed Hamas was doing, they actually got these collaborators to do. Okay? Every single thing. And obviously, Israel not only was urging them to do this, but they were also giving them the weapons to do this, and they were literally doing it from their base. For the most famous version of this is obviously Abu Shabab, Yasser Abu Shabab, who was in prison for drug dealing. That Israel broke him out of prison after October 7, and then basically gave him a bunch of money, gave him some weapons, gave him aerial coverage with drones and whatnot to support him. And obviously, you know, you might know Yasser Abu Shabab, despite the fact that he is illiterate and can't even read or write in Arabic, from his Wall Street Journal opinion editorial piece that he wrote. Clearly, it was him who wrote that. That's, you know, you might know that from his, because I'm not the biggest fan of the guy, but he's a mean writer. You know, he's a really good op-ed writer. He wrote for the Wall Street Journal. So, in any case, Hamas and like the interior security apparatus that exists currently is punishing the collaborators and creating some semblance of stability in the Gaza Strip. Okay, and it's interesting that Donald Trump, in the classic Trumpian way, is openly saying it. Like, he's just like, yeah, these guys are dealing with like some really bad gangs. These guys are dealing with some really bad gangs. These are some really brutal gangs. He's not saying that like it was gangs armed by Israel, okay? Even though that is the case. But the very fact that he's saying that instead of using the Hasbara line of like, well, these guys are brutal barbarians, is very interesting.
Is one of the safest cities in the country. It was one of the worst cities in the country if you go back just a little while ago, right? Now it's safe. You can walk to work. Isn't it nice? And
stuff like this gives me a little bit more confidence that he obviously wants the ceasefire to stick, and he sees Hamas as like the only party that he can, he sees Hamas as like the only party that can maintain stability and push the ceasefire to stick. Okay? New, Trump defends Hamas crackdown on gangs in Gaza, likens the cleaning up Washington, D.C. Speaking for the White House, Trump said Hamas did take out a couple of gangs that were very bad and killed a number of gang members. And that didn't bother me much, to be honest with you, he added. That's okay. Trump compared to how his own administration handled violent gangs, claiming Venezuela sent their gangs. Now, of course, when Donald Trump is talking about like what he's doing with like domestic, he's doing with like the domestic incidents, like there's a difference between a resistance faction that is trying to literally, in the imminent aftermath of a pause in this genocide, restore some semblance of order, versus the most powerful nation on the planet creating a fake environment to start executing people carte blanche with no repercussions whatsoever, off of faulty claims that they're actually violent gang members. So there is no comparison between like what Hamas is doing with what the United States of America has been doing, for the record. Like, that's not a real comparison. But it's funny that that's like the only thing he can, like, I like that he's using Hamas as a positive here in terms of like dealing with criminal elements, while simultaneously saying we're just like Hamas, because that's what this is. That's what he's saying here. He's saying my administration is just like Hamas, dealing with violent drug dealers and gang members in the most violent ways possible. Like, he's using Hamas as a positive force, okay? Which is very strange. It's a very strange thing to hear from a American president or any American politician. This is outflanking. This is outflanking Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is outflanking every left politician whatsoever. Like, this is an accurate reflection of what's taking place in the Gaza Strip without actually thinking about the why, the reasons as to why this kind of violence is taking place on the Strip. But it's shocking to me that he is able to just say that. Okay, he's just able to be like, yeah, that's right. Hamas, they're restoring order. Any other person, I mean, this is truly a Teflon Don moment, because any other American figure that says something like this, they would get destroyed. Okay? They would get destroyed. And I still think the reason why he's saying this is because he hasn't gotten the proper Hasbara notes on this. And he partially thinks that in order to make this ceasefire stick, which is clear that he wants the ceasefire to stick, the party that he has to align with, the more responsible party, the party that actually will generate the stability necessary for the ceasefire to hold, is going to be the existing resistance structure, which is currently led by Hamas, which is, unexpected from Donald Trump. But I guess he has his moments like that. This is yet another interesting Trump moment brought to you by his lack of interest in learning what the appropriate talking points are. Anyway, there was also some other moments from this press conference. We'll just get to it. We'll get to the press conference here because it's 5 minutes long. I'll just start with that. DRM News. The main point is that he says Hamas will disarm. They told me. And we'll talk about that. Bro, you're giving Trump too much credit here. I don't think he thinks ahead about anything. No, I agree. Which is precisely the reason why yesterday, when I first heard him say something similar about all of the activity, all of the stability operations that Hamas was engaging in and the interior security was engaging in, when Donald Trump defended that, what did I tell you? I said, he doesn't know what the talking points are. He doesn't realize that Israel would use this chaos under normal circumstances to say Hamas is barbaric and brutal. And therefore he's just simply going off. This is a moment that's not dissimilar to when Donald Trump said the quiet part out loud in 2016 when he was running for president about abortion, where when he was asked directly, do you think that women should be punished for getting an abortion? And he said yes. The reason why he said yes is because, of course, any kind of restriction on abortion punishes women in general. He hadn't thought the talking points. He hadn't thought through the talking points. He did not know that, Republicans never say the quiet part out loud when it comes to abortion. They say the doctors are the violent ones. The doctors could be punished, not the poor mothers that are obviously a lot more sympathetic in general to the average population, to the average American. So this is kind of like that. This is a moment where Donald Trump turns around and looks at the situation. He's like, yeah, of course they're going to do this kind of thing. Have you seen, the Gaza Strip? It's chaotic. These guys they're dealing with the chaos. They're dealing with the gang members, not realizing that Israel would, in normal circumstances, use that chaos as an opportunity to justify further incursion. Okay? But I told you even then, I told you yesterday that once he gets the new talking points of someone from, Miriam Adelson's team or whatever, or Miriam Adelson herself maybe gets into Trump's ear and says, hey, shut the fuck up about Hamas restoring order in this chaotic situation, he'll stop. It's the same thing. It's the same reason why he says now it's 3,000 years of war and I stopped it. Someone told him that. And he really liked it. He really liked that talking point because he had previously never really talked about 3,000 years and how this land was promised to Jews 3,000 years ago. That's like a new thing that he started to say because someone told him that, and now he's just repeating it. Because at the end of the day, I know it sounds silly because we still have this weird false notion in our minds that when someone is in a position of power, we assume that they actually earned that position of power. They're probably at least smarter than they let on. Donald Trump is not smarter than he lets on. That much is clear. Okay. He is a sponge. Someone tells him something. He has his own opinions on certain shit and he never lets it go, like tariffs. Okay. Somewhere along the line, someone told him tariffs are great. You should use tariffs. And he hasn't ever let that go. Okay. But beyond that, when it's an issue that he doesn't like give that much of a shit about, he will just repeat whatever the latest person that he trusts in his orbit told him.